emails, your social media, your phones, all of that stuff. I've done that on mine, and hopefully you're going to follow suit on yours. What we are going to do here today is make sure we add masses of value. Now, the value may come in a couple of things. It may be just like a light bulb moment. We call it an aha moment. We look to add many of these to our clients every year. It may be several aha moments. What I'd like you to do is just take whatever comes your way, but then at the end of this program, maybe even after we've turned off, you sit down and just pick one or two things that you will do tomorrow. And we'll come to that. We will work through that as part of the workshop and certainly part of the program. It's all about one or two things that really get to the nub of things and make things happen for you. So, to the Batmobile. What's that all about? I don't know if you remember, you're probably not as old as I am, but when I was a kid, we used to have Batman. And the Batman was, the actor was actually a guy, I think it was, I'm not sure, but I think it was Adam Faith or something. He was a bit of a portly character. He's not the muscle-rippling Batman we have now. But one of the things I really remember is when he said to Robin, "To the Batmobile." I'm just checking you can see what I'm. Can you just give me a note in the chat box to tell me if you can see what I'm seeing? I'm just being told that the presentation's not happening. Ah, here we go. That's what it is. Oops, there we go. Okay, so that'll be me on this first workshop using this format. That's caused the problem there. So it's let me get the presentation up. Okay, we're ready to go again. So we're talking about Batman and Robin, and in the show, whenever they said "to the Batmobile," you knew there was going to be some action. Now, in those days, the action was very, very different from the action we got. A lot of bams and whams and stuff, but nevertheless, it meant action. And so, what I'd like you to do is humor me for today. When we talk about "to the Batmobile," it means that we're going to be looking to take some action. We're going to ask you to interact. So, because it's a workshop, we're going to ask you to do some stuff. Some thinking, some writing, some note-taking, some planning, because at the end of this, I want you to have something that you can do tomorrow that'll increase your profits. So what are our objectives for today? So first thing I want you to do is tell me about your year just gone. Many people will tell me the year's just flown by, right? And I suspect that may well be the same for you. We talk about, I can't believe it's already, it was July, then it was September, then November, now it's, it's virtually the end of the year, right? 2 weeks to go, and we're all done. So at the time of this recording, but the year doesn't matter when you started. It's a process, right? Everything is a process. It doesn't have to be done in a January to December year. It can be done in any year. And so what I'd like you to do in the message box, please, is type in two numbers, and it's going to be, you can put a dash in between them, you can put a stroke in between them, you can put anything you like in between them. And the two numbers, typically the second number is going to be 10, but it could be something else. And the first number is going to be a number as high as the other number, but maybe lower. So what it is going to be a score out of 10, out of 6, out of 4, whatever you do, but it's going to be a score that tells me how your year has been. So your year, if you set it as a 10, let's take 10 as an example. Was it a 3 out of 10, an 8 out of 10, a 10 out of 10, a 2 out of 10? In terms of what your expectations were at the beginning, what were your results? How did you feel about the year went? So just type that into the box for me, please. Very good. The results are coming in. We're getting 3 out of 10, 10 out of 10. Whoa, well, I don't know why you're here, actually. If you're getting 10 out of 10, maybe you're doing as well as you need to do. But maybe you're even more ambitious. So that means you're in the right place for that. 4 out of 10, 6 out of 10. Well, okay, so most of the numbers I'm seeing on screen are between 4 and 7 out of 10. So more towards the 5s and 4s, which is fine. So that's good. So at least it gives us a measurement of where we are, right? So the next thing we want to do is look at what you want to get out of this presentation. Now you've given up some time. You've put aside 60 to 90 minutes of time. Tell me what you are looking to get out of this presentation. Why did you come? So just type in something in the box for me, please. And it'll give me an idea of what I'm measured up against. Now, everything I do is always with an objective in mind, and by tracking how I meet the objectives, I can judge how well we've done, right? So, okay, so somebody's saying just to help understand what your process is. Oh, very good, that's good. And now somebody else is saying to help make 2015 the best year ever. Hey, that's a title off the email, wasn't it? Very good. And what's this one? To find out what went wrong last year and make sure it doesn't happen again. Fine. Okay, good. So we've got some ideas, and they seem to be on that. We've got a few of you on the line today, so thank you for joining me. I can see a few clients on there as well, which is great. We had a face-to-face workshop, in person a couple of days ago, and that went really well. We got some great feedback. In fact, one of the people attending that event phoned me up yesterday and said, because of the event, and he really, that's how he put it, because of that event, because of the stuff we did there, because of the push we gave him at the event, he did something that evening, even though he was a bit worse for wear having gone to a Christmas party, and as a result of doing that, he won the thing he was entering into, and he's probably got a grant of a couple of £1,000, several £1,000s for his business, which is, this is exactly what it's about. Okay, so let's get going on this. So your objectives, great. My objectives are to give you an aha moment, something that you can take and go, I could use that tomorrow. I'm going to use that tomorrow, and it's going to increase my profits from tomorrow too. And so I'd like to make sure that this tells you a little bit about why businesses stagnate, why they suffer, why they don't achieve the true potential they could, and as a result, make the changes you need to make to get the results you richly deserve. I believe there is no better way of creating wealth than an owner-managed business. You guys are all in owner-managed businesses. There is no better way of creating wealth. I've done it with my business several times, and I've done it with clients' businesses several times. I do what I do now because I love doing it. I couldn't imagine just sitting around on a beach, as much as some people love to do that. I couldn't imagine doing that. But that's where we are, okay? So that's my objectives for you for today. Remember I told you that we're looking to increase profits from tomorrow. I've got one tip for you that will increase profits from tomorrow. I will come back to that at the end, so stay with me. And at the end of this presentation, you will hear the one thing that you can do today that will increase profits tomorrow. There's a big promise, isn't it? So I'll come back to that. So let's play Spot the Difference. Remember that game? I used to play it a lot as a kid. So and I used to be quite good at it. So I'd like you to look at this, and I'd like you to tell me how many differences you see between these two pictures. If it's, type in the number. If it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 20, whatever it is, or 0. Just tell me how many differences you can see on these two photos in front of you, and just type it into the box for me. Very good. I'm getting 1. I'm getting 6. Whoa, I'm getting 2. Somebody's saying 0. I can't see any difference. They're both the same. Good. Okay. So we got some people. Somebody with 6. You've got eyesight like eagles, right? So that is fantastic. Fantastic. So I'm looking forward to sharing with you this. What I'm trying to get to here is there is a slight difference, and the one on the right is slightly smaller than the one on the left. So, and here we are with another one, which is here, the one on the right is slightly bigger than the one on the left. And what I'm trying to do, the sort of analogy I'm trying to give you on this is that you can make incremental differences, and if you make a few incremental differences, the difference it's going to make to your business is very small. and almost imperceptible. So if you're in 95%, I keep saying 90, and it is just the vast majority of businesses do not do significantly different things from one year to the next. And the differences are because they're not doing something very much different, and so they're getting very small changes. And so one of the messages I'd like to get from today is small changes, unless you do lots of small changes, which is a brilliant strategy. Small changes, a few small changes will have very little effect, often, and a couple of big changes can have a massive effect, but lots of small changes can have a massive effect. And so you can end up with a much bigger return, or an even bigger return, where you just grow significantly from now to then. And so I'm looking for significance for you. Why am I telling you this? Why should you listen to me? Just 2 minutes on this. We are really good at what we do. We've won awards. We've been the runner-up for 4 years running, and this year we actually won the British Accountancy Award for independent firm in Greater London against some pretty heavy hitters around Greater London. That's all through the M25. There's thousands. I think there's like 38,000 accountants in the UK. I think a good 15,000 of them are in the Greater London area. And we were the winners this year. I'm so proud of my team for getting there, and I'm so proud of my clients for helping me get there, because if it wasn't for us working in collaboration, we wouldn't have got there. And so, I've built businesses. I'm pretty successful on my own, if I may say so. And so, at the end of this, you can tell me whether you think I'm in the right place to tell you anything, or I'm the completely wrong person to tell you. But I just want to give you a little bit of background, okay? Everything else you can find online about me, and why I am so successful and driven to do what I do. So let's get to the Batmobile. That call for action. The Batmobile, in your workbooks, which you've probably downloaded, we have all of these slides in there, and you'll be able to find them. They typically are going in order. And so what I'd like you to do is look at your workbook, and you can see that I've got 2 circles here. It's a 2-skill problem, and the skill problem says this. There are 2 skills required to run a business. The technical skills, 100% critical. It's really what the business does. So, for lawyers, it's doing legal work. For designers, it's designing stuff. For architects, it's planning and stuff. For accountants, it's doing accounts, right? These are technical skills, and virtually every business I go into, they've got technical skills amply supplied. It's what the business does, okay? Where they sometimes run short of is the business skills, and if you want to grow your business, that is 100% requirement, okay? If you're going to grow. If you just want to run a lifestyle business and play around with it, technical skills are all you need, because you'll find enough business to keep you in your hobby you'll become accustomed to, if you don't mind me saying. And and why is the circle bigger? It's because there's more of these skills. There's marketing, sales, leadership, HR, operations, IT, finance. There's so many different skills that make up business skills that if you're short of those, then you are going to struggle growing your business. And if you look at the profit potential, it's the interaction of those 2 skills. You can see that as the skills come together and you get better at building them, the analogy would be you can extract more profit out of your business. So in the Batmobile now, I'd like you to take a look at your workbooks and just spend 1 minute just rating yourself on the business critical skills and on the technical skills. Just give yourself 0 to 100%, and business skills 0 to 100%. Most people, I would expect technical skills to be towards the 100%, if not. Having said that, you and I have both hired people where their technical skills were way below 100%, wouldn't they agree with me? So go ahead and mark that up. I'll be with you back in a minute. I'm just going to have a nice sip of coffee while you mark yourself up on those skills. Okay, so you should have marked it. Now let's just go through a bit more, okay? And again, I'm trying to keep these things simple, but the deceptiveness of business is things are simple but not easy, okay? And this is a simple model. It says, you've got 3 interacting circles: the sales, the production, and the operation. These are your 3 basic parts of your business accounts, if you like. You sell, then you produce the stuff that you sell, and you have operations, which deliver the mechanics of it, and how they interact will determine how much profit you get in the middle, how much profit you extract, and we've talked about that in the previous slide. Between them, you'll see there's three other elements. There's margins, there's efficiency, and system. Because if sales and production come together really well, you make bigger margins. Operations and production, you get better efficiency. If you get better efficiency, you can make more profit. And if your systems are better, excuse me, I got somebody in trouble outside. Yeah, that's gone. Between sales and operations, the better the systems are, the more profit you can extract. So all of these things are very interactive, and the better you control all of them, that's the business skills, the more profit you can extract out of your business, out of the market, because you're going to be able to produce more value for your clients and your customers. That's the secret, by the way, of doing better. You do better by giving more value to the marketplace. So the more value you provide someone else, the more value you can extract for yourself. That's the secret of my success. I look to give more, and they're happy to pay me for giving more, because what they pay me is a fraction of what I give them. Okay, so I'd love you to buy into that principle and work it yourself. The next one, why businesses stop growing, is the squishy middle. My little toad here is an example of the squishy middle. Let's look at the graph here. We got the number in the group and the performance, worse or better, right? And in every market, in every industry, there are poor performers and there are top performers. Okay. And then there are the people in the middle, the squishy middle. Now, the poor performers are either on their way out to retirement, they're tired, or they just haven't quite got it, or they're on their way towards the squishy middle. They're not performing that well yet because they're just getting into it. The top performers have been in the business, they've got systems, they've got methodologies, they've got a management team, they've got new processes, they've got new developments coming in, they're working with the market, and they're at the top end. That's typically we're in the top end because, and I'll tell you how we know in a minute, we're in the top 5% of our profession outside the big big international firms, and because of that, we're recognized as being very successful. People hire us to tell them how we do it. We, in fact, were hired by the Institute of Chartered Accountants to tell other accountants how we work with client service to make sure that's even better. So that's the sort of thing that I know, and also we do benchmarking studies. Okay. But let's talk about the squishy middle. The squishy middle are people who are squeezed by competition, they're squeezed by the market, they're just not getting anywhere, the profits are staying stagnant, they are struggling, they're working too hard, they're in overwhelm, they've got too many things on their to-do list. By the way, did I apologize? I do talk too fast, but you can always get the replay and play it slower. But I get really excited about business because I love business. I'm just passionate about helping businesses understand this stuff because it just improves their results and improves their earning and their lifestyle. So you get a whole lot in the squishy middle, and people often never leave the squishy middle other than go back to the poor performers on their way out to retirement. And so if your maximum potential is if you're on the squishy middle, you can become a top performer. If you're a top performer, you've got the mindset to be here. But I suspect because that's how you got to be a top performer. You're constantly learning. You're constantly looking for the next edge. You're constantly looking for somebody to sharpen you up against the market. If you're a poor performer, you're unlikely to be on the call. And from what I recognize, certainly my clients are on here. None of you are poor performers. But the squishy middle is the problem, and so we need to work to get out of that squishy middle. Does that make sense? I'm going to carry on. I'm assuming it is. Yeah, by the way, let's say if it does make sense, can you just put yes in this chat box for me and send that to me? That's fantastic. Thank you. Yeah, I'm getting lots of yeses. So that's good. One not sure, but like I said, we can watch the video again and hopefully it'll make sense. Or I'll show you where to get help in the next couple of hours. Okay, at the end of this session. The next problem why business stopped growing is this glass ceiling problem. And the glass ceiling problem, we've probably heard about it in women at work, where they hit a glass ceiling they can't get past. I'm talking about something completely different. I am talking about the glass ceiling for businesses. And what the glass ceiling for business is that businesses grow and then they stop growing. And why do they stop growing? Typically, it's one of a few problems. They run out of energy, they run out of time, they run out of skilled team members or skill themselves, they've run out of clients, they run out of contacts, they don't have time to go and look for more work, they have trouble keeping the work they do have, so it's filling their time, they've got too many complaints, so they're firefighting a lot. All of these things stop them growing, and then again, this huge proportion. Silly's just saying 95% every time, but it is a ridiculously high proportion. Get to this glass ceiling and never break through. And it's unfortunate because they could break through just with a tweak in their thinking, a tweak in their actions, a tweak in their implementation, and they'd get amazing results, much higher than they thought. And it would be easier for them. They'd do it in less time. They'd spend less energy, less risk. Anyway, so the glass ceiling is the problem. They hit that, and then they get tired fighting the market because they don't have any techniques to get past it, and then they get beaten down by the market, and very soon they end up on the poor performer end of the curve. So what I'd like to do now is just show you the business model that I would like you to understand. If you understand this model and you understand where you are on it and where you'd like to get to, now we can start building a process. We can start building a pathway. We can start putting it in our sat nav and getting there. Fair enough? So let us get going on that. Here is our business success model. And the business success model basically says you start to be, and this is, by the way, how I started, and a large proportion of my clients have started, okay? And how you start off as being employed, you acquire some skills, you acquire some knowledge and contacts and some know-how, and you go, well, actually, I could do it myself. Why should I work for him and he gets all the money? I'll do it for myself. I'll do it better, and I'll keep the money. So fantastic. And then you become a self-employed person or a director of your own company, which is basically a self-employed person. And self-employed is basically what it says. You employ yourself. So you haven't really changed. You were employed at one time. You had an employer who you felt you could do better than, and then you are employed by yourself. Now, I suggest to you, you're probably a harder employer than your previous employer. You don't probably give yourself the number of holidays. You don't say good things to yourself. You don't motivate you. You don't take the income. You don't get that sick pay. There's a whole load of things you don't get now, because you own your own business, that you used to get when you're employed. And maybe your income, when you start accounting for the amount of time you're spending, evenings doing accounts, God forbid, bookkeeping, networking, people will spend 4 or 5 hours a week networking, and if they work out how much that costs them a year, look at how much money they bring in as a result, it really doesn't make sense. But because somebody's told them networking is really important, they'll go ahead and carry on doing it. And to me, it's a bit of a waste. Then you can become director. Director is where you actually direct a team of people. And largely that's where I am right now as one of my positions. I'm way above that, but I've chosen now. I've got choice to be a director still. So I still direct a group of people that help me run my businesses, that help clients do better. From director, you can become an owner, where you just own the business. You don't do anything with it other than take the money home, right? That's really good. If you want to lay on a beach all day, taking money from a business you own but don't work in, that would be a dream, wouldn't it? I couldn't do that. It would bore me silly. So I do what I do because I love doing it. Then you become an investor. An investor is slightly different from an owner in that you have multiple businesses, multiple properties, multiple choices of shares and cash, so that you have the choice to do what you want to do, because you know that nothing now can touch your financial security. And that to me is a powerful place to be. I love it. Of course I love it. Who wouldn't? But there are times in my life where, having got halfway there, sort of towards director owner, I was so glad, because things happened in my life that made that so valuable to me, far more than money or status or anything else. And if you know my private story, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you don't, it'll be somewhere else. So getting choices, right? How we do that to the program, and we haven't got time to go through the whole program here. Of course, it's a 1-year program or 3-month starter. We do it through an identify process, where we identify where you are, where you want to go, what you've got, what assets you've got, what your risk profile is, what your clients are like, what your market looks like, what your pricing system. We look at everything you've got. right, and where you want to go, what your end goal is. We then quantify what bits can be fixed quickest with the best results. So we look for the low-hanging fruit, the easy wins, the early wins, because we want to get value for money. We want to get a return on investment. We want to get it fast. We want to get some momentum, and we'll talk about momentum in a minute. And once we've identified the 2 or 3 things, we don't do many, right? You've already overwhelmed. You've already got too much to do. We're not going to be loading you with 20, 30 things. On this, we're going to be asking you to do 1 thing tomorrow, 3 things next week. We're not looking for hundreds of things. We're going to quantify them. We're going to multiply those 2 or 3 things to make them bigger, 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 while we then go down the process again and finding the next low-hanging fruit, the next easy win, and carry on multiplying them. And then every now and again we go through the identify process again, see what's changed, say where we are now, take stock, and move on. Things change, and my goals 20 years ago are certainly not my goals now. My goals 10 years ago are not my goals now. Things change, and you've got to adapt. Things have changed in my personal life, and they've changed in my business life. And so, if you think you've got to set a goal today and you've got to lock it in, and that's nonsense. You can change it tomorrow, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't have one today, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I do not want to give you more to do, right? That is the last thing I want to do. I do not want to add more things for you to do because you've got enough to do. You've probably got a drawer full of to-do lists and spreadsheets and stuff of things you have to do. This is not about that. This is about doing the 1 or 2 right things that move your business forward. And how we do that, one of the tools we use several tools, by the way. I'm only bringing you to some of the more powerful, quick tools you get value from, is what we call our important versus urgent tool. It's a Stephen Covey model. He wrote a book called 7 Habits of Highly, I think it's Effective People, not Successful People. I apologize for that. 7 Habits, and I recommend you get the book, whether you like this stuff or not, whether you work with us or not. Just get the book and read it. It's a brilliant read. I look to read it every year, but I end up reading it once every 2 years or so. But I love the book. It's got such great ideas and such great simplicity within it that if you just apply the processes, you become effective, and as a result, you become more successful. And what the book's basically, what this principle is, one of the 7 habits, is by doing the right things, is to work in the box that's green, the top right-hand corner, on the stuff that's important but not urgent. If you do that, then you will be more successful. If you spend more of your time on that than any other quadrant, then you're going to be more successful. You should spend virtually no time in the not important and not urgent box. Either it shouldn't be done at all, or somebody else should do it. And of course, you can spend a little bit of time making sure that the stuff that's not important but urgent gets done by someone else. And then a good amount of time, maybe 10, 20% of your time on the important and urgent, but by far 80 to 100% if you can in the not urgent but important. That's the stuff that's going to move your business forward. So it looks a bit like that. Let me give you a couple of examples. One example would be, one of my clients. Every year we sit down together, and every year he tells me he will do his website. It's not as good as he'd like it to be, because whenever we have a meeting, we have a look at people's website and do a short critique of it, and just say, look, this, do you know you're leaving clients behind? You're not taking the clients with you on this site. And he, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And every year I meet him, it hasn't been done, and because life gets in there, it's not because he doesn't look. No one is in that position because they're not motivated, they're not incentivized, they're not keen, they're not intelligent, they're not bright. It's because life gets in the way. There's just too many calls on our attention now more than ever. With internet, with all the stuff, emails, Twitter, social medias, texts, phone calls, clients, team members. There's so much calling on our attention that if we don't force ourselves to go not urgent but important in the green box, we could get caught in all the other boxes and waste time on and effectiveness. Okay, so so that's the urgent but not important. But sorry, urgent and important. It's important when it's urgent, but it's not getting done. But the not urgent, that is the not urgent stuff. The not urgent but important is that, right? It's not urgent. No client's complaining about it because they're just not giving him any money for him to sell services to, right? Because the website's just wrong. So it's not urgent, but it is important, because if he doesn't fix that, tomorrow's income is not going to be different. Next month's income is not going to be different, and so on. Whereas urgent and important be a really key client has got an issue that they need fixed. It does need to be fixed, and it is a key client that's providing lots of income. Of course that's important, and it's urgent. You've got to get into that and make sure it's handled. Now, whether you handle it or someone else, initially it might be you, but then you'll need to pass that on and build a team to do that. Next, we're going to, we want to just make sure we reinforce this up. We're not talking about getting overwhelmed. It's completely the opposite. We're looking at getting out of overwhelm, right? And by following the Covey model, you will get out of overwhelm. You'll have less to do, but more important things to do. Richard Branson, he runs over 400 companies. I guarantee 100% of his working day is spent on his important stuff. He is spending so much time putting his businesses in a better place, making them better, getting new businesses, acquiring new businesses. He couldn't be doing that if he was spending time in the wrong place, right? So we want to do that. And another tip linked to that: how do you get out of your to-do list? You would need to do a don't-do list. So what you look is you look at your to-do list and think, what can you take off your to-do list that will help you get rid of the tasks in the wrong place and put them in the right place. Okay, so that's what you want to. That's what you want to be focusing on. Check in the kitchen. So don't-do list. That's really a critical thing. There's one in your workbook. Start putting some things on it. Get a ticket. Get a ticket and put it on the windscreen for now. So let's get started, shall we? To the real main course of what we're about to do. To the Batmobile. Let me just get a cup of coffee. That's excuse me, I've got a bit of a distraction outside. I've got a fire brigade sitting outside, and I think one of my colleagues are going to move my car so that they can get into the right place to deal with the fire or whatever problem there is. Apologize for that. I just had a mad rush trying to get my car moved so they could get to the emergency. So the Batmobile, right? We're in the Batmobile, we're looking to take action. So what we're looking to do here is the big question. The big question, thanks to one of my colleagues, Rowan Dredge. He's an executive ministerial coach in Australia. He supports ministers, and he helps them get more people in the congregation and helps them make more money to support their causes. And so obviously that's like a business like any other. I didn't realize it was, but it is. So thanks to Rowan for bringing me this big question. The big question is this. Imagine we are now 12 months from now. It doesn't matter when you're listening to this or when you're watching this. It's 12 months from now. And in 12 months, you meet yourself walking down the street, and you're really happy to meet yourself because you've done everything you wanted to do, and you are who you wanted to become in the process. Okay, and that's an important thing. So what I'd like you to do is just in your workbooks, just take a note down of who is it you've just met. Who is this person in a year's time? What have you become? How are you so proud of yourself? What do you notice about yourself that you're really proud of that makes you so happy? And what have you achieved in the last 12 months that's made you so happy? Okay. And so you can understand what I'm trying to get to here. In a year's time, we're looking back and we're going, oh, I've really done this. I've become that. I'm more successful, or I'm making this much money, or whatever it is, right? So please spend a couple of minutes answering that question for me, and I'm going to take another sip of coffee. Very good. Hopefully you got some ideas. Who will you be, and what will you have done? A big question. So that's in your workbook too. And what I also want you to do now on the next page is look forward. What are you going to do now? It's very closely linked to that. So we're sort of building on that. So now you've got this great idea of who you're going to be and what you're going to do. Who you're going to do and what you're going to become. And as a result, let's write down now, as you look forward, what are you going to do? What are you going to do differently to become the person you want to become? So let's write that down, please. What are your things that you're going to do? Do you have an idea of what your sales are going to be, what your profits are going to be, how much cash you're going to have in the bank? Buy a new car. A lot of my clients like buying new cars, buying bigger houses. What is it going to be for you, I wonder? So just write that down, please. Very good. You've had a couple of minutes to do that. We're going to be moving along. What this is, remember, this is not getting the job done. This is setting it up, right? This is setting up the job so that you can get the job done. And so we're creating the momentum. I don't expect you to finish this today. We work with clients over 3 to 12 months on this. So, this is to get you started tomorrow so that you can get some momentum going, okay? So the next question I'm going to do is look at the goals you've just written down and just ask yourself, are they big enough? And often when I run these workshops, and I did one, like I said, for clients a couple of days ago, some of their goals were like increasing the sales by 10%, increasing the sales by 15%, increasing the sales by 5% even. And I basically said, look, you remember that little thing I showed you at the beginning, those difference in the pictures. If you do tiny differences, you're going to look for tiny differences. But if you look for something big, you've got to think differently, haven't you? If you make a goal, and one of the people at the workshop said he wants to increase his sales by 50%. Now that to me demands a different level of thinking than to increase your sales by 10%. I don't know if that makes sense. To increase your sales by 10%, you just do one or two things differently, right? Or you do more of them. In fact, by far the majority will just want to do more of what they're doing to get another 10%. But to do 50%, chances are you're not sitting around for half your day to increase your sales by 50%. You're busy. And so 50% demands a different level of thinking, a different layer to give you that 50%. You can't do it on the same level. And we call it a BHAG, a big, hairy, audacious goal. It's not my name. It's a name we picked up from a coach somewhere along the line, one of my mentors. But it is, you can begin to see when you have a big, hairy, audacious goal, it really can give you a lift. So what I'd like you to do now is just make sure in your goals list, in what you're looking in the future, when we just did, what is going to be the one thing that's going to be a big, hairy, audacious goal? Just one thing, a stretch goal, right? And write that down. Now let's look back. We've got our goals. We've got a big, hairy, audacious goal. Now it's time. We've got that written down. I'm hoping you're writing this down, because if you're not writing this down and it's in your head, you're going to get 10% of the value you could get out of this time you're spending with me, okay? So please write them down, commit to paper, or your favorite writing implement, whether it's your iPad or something else. So what we're going to do is look back. And I want you to look back at the last year and look where you've been, and look what you intended to be, and just reflect a little bit on that year. What sort of slowed you up? What's held you back a bit? Maybe what stopped you? And just think about those things. What's slowed you up, what's held you back, and what stopped you achieving the results you wanted to, whether they were written down or not. And we'll talk about writing them down again in a minute. So just spend a moment just writing down what sort of things slowed you down, held you back, or stopped you achieving your goals. For one of my clients a couple of years ago, it was a bereavement in the family. His father passed away. For another client, they said it was the competition from Europe. There's just too much competition, and so prices were driven down. I won't mention that. I'll talk about those too much. But those are just what they felt at the time. Okay. So moving on, then, in the workbook, you'll see a couple of wheels. We call them the wheels of life, wheels of business, and the wheels of growth. The wheel of life I'm not going to touch on at all today, because it covers really the wholeness of your life and through business. And we'll look at that if we ever work together. We'll touch on that for another time. I'm not even going to touch on the wheel of business life. You can do this in your own time. All you do, and we'll talk about the wheel of business growth in a minute, because once you know how to do that one, you're about to do all the others. Okay, so let's look at the wheel of business growth. The wheel of business growth basically has 7 segments. these are segments I like, right? You can have your own segments. I don't care, right? The segments aren't important. It's the range of them and how you think about the process, okay? And the segments are, in my case, goals, vision, plan, marketing, processes, key performance and predictive indicators, and how fast we adapt. So goals would be, are your goals written down? Are they clear? Are they specific? Are they attainable? Are they resourced? If it's all of those, then you give yourself a 10. If it's in your head and you're thinking about them, but you sort of know them pretty clearly, it's a 2. If you just think about them and they change all the time, or you're not completely clear, you can't spout them out in 5 seconds, then it's a 1 or 0. Vision, same sort of thing. If you've got a clear vision, it's written down, you know what your business is going to look like in 3 years' time, you know how many people you're going to have, what sales you're going to have, where your office is going to be based, what sort of clients you're going to get, what sort of services you're going to offer, what the clients are going to say about your services, why your team would love to work with you, all that sort of thing, towards the 10 and lower towards the 0. Plan. If you've got a plan based on those goals and vision, do you have a clear plan that says, next quarter, next year, I'm going to be doing these things, these are my projects, these are the things I'm going to do that's going to achieve those goals. The clearer that is, the more in writing it is, the sharper that is, the more you act on it towards the 10, the less you act on it on a regular, weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, lower down to 0. Marketing, how strong are you on marketing? How good are you on marketing? How well is your marketing working? Do you have 10 streams of bringing new clients in? Are you, do you if one fails, the other 9 hold your business up, or is it just have one? Do you already understand how to use social media and email marketing and direct mail, or is it something that you're playing with and it's costing you money and you're a bit nervous because you've heard so many horror stories or you've experienced horror stories? The more you have control of it, the higher the number, the lower. Processes, is that your business run on processes? Do you have checklists and systems, and do you have a team that knows exactly what to do and why they're doing it all the time to make sure that the number of errors and problems and concerns you have from your clients are minimized to 0 if possible, but it's never going to be 0. There's always human elements. But do you have really strong processes, and are they continuing to develop? The key performance and predictive indicators. Do you have a couple of key metrics, and we'll talk about that a lot more in a minute, that determine like a scoreboard of how well your business is doing? If you don't, then you got a bit of an issue. If you do, great, and you use them, then there's a if you use them, if you just have them but don't do anything with them, take any action on the back of them, then not so good. And are you fast to adapt? If something happens next week or next month, can you adapt the following week or the following month? Or do you have to wait till the end of year accounts come out and you go, oh, I didn't realize it did so badly. God, that's terrible. What a waste of a year, right? If you could find out in 1 month, wouldn't you rather do that? And there's a whole range of systems. As long as you know that you can do it, you can then go and find how to do it, right? We'll talk more about how in a while. So to the Batmobile, just fill in that business growth. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. I'm hoping you've done it as I've talked. But just fill in that business growth wheel and just get a sense of what insights you get from that. If you have a moment, you can just type them in the box for me. Somebody saying, oh, it's so simple to find out where your weaknesses are. Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly right. My wheel doesn't look like a wheel at all. Somebody saying it's very uneven. Yes, and that's good to have that. And now you have a visual representation of why the business is not growing at the right rate. It's because if you put a car on that wheel, how fast could it go? It probably couldn't, right? And so those are the elements, in my view. There's some of them that can be changed and tweaked for individual businesses, but generally, if you think about it in that way, you're not going to go too far wrong, right? And so, let's get some insights on that and make some notes on what you've learned from that. Okay, fantastic. Now I want to get to the point about you, because I want you to take responsibility for all of this. Now, I say responsibility seriously, right? Because too many times I listen to the news, I listen to clients, I listen to people talking, and it's always somebody else's fault, right? It could be, too much immigration. It could be technology has reduced prices. It could be things last longer, so nobody fixes them anymore. It could be people don't want to pay their money. They always want to go to the cheapest, or whatever it is, right? I want you to take responsibility for your business and for where it is and the results you're getting. And part of it is for you yourself to take responsibility. Now, That doesn't mean you have to do it all yourself. Hear me on that one? You do not need to do it all yourself. In fact, if you do, you're going to miss a whole load, okay? You need to go and get help. Ask for help. And if you ask for help, you will have a much better arsenal for which to go and win in the game of business. All right. So I'd love you to go and ask for help from the right people at the right time on a regular basis. Okay. I'd like you to make your goals and your vision and your dreams public as you feel you're able to. Now, most people wouldn't feel comfortable putting all of that stuff on the web as a publicity thing, but we have we have a very nice mastermind group where we can share our goals and our innermost dreams and know they're going to be supported by the people there on a confidential basis, and that is so cool. And that's part of the mastermind group. Again, if you haven't read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, it is a mega seller. I think if you look hard enough, you can actually get it free on the internet. The trouble with getting it free on the internet is most people don't read it. But if you're good on Kindle and you like reading PDF books, then chances are you're going to be cool with that. And that's a really good book. And Mastermind was a key element in that. And our program involves a mastermind group where people feel supported, but you can do your own with your network. Critically, I want you to become become accountable to someone. Right? Who that someone is will depend on your network. It may depend on who you know and who's in your group. I would recommend it's not your spouse. I don't recommend it's not a sibling, because this person has to be given permission to hold you accountable. And it's not an easy job because sometimes they've got to give you some hard truths, right? And it's something you probably don't want your wife to do, because when you've had a hard truth, you don't want to be sitting down and having a casual dinner when somebody's just told you that you haven't done what you said you're going to do. What the hell's going on? That is not it's not that position. Okay, and so get accountable. Get somebody to hold you accountable to things, because your clients hold you accountable, and that's why you do their stuff first. That's why you do the urgent, important stuff rather than the non-urgent, important stuff, because your clients hold you accountable, and you won't let them down. You've got to get into the habit of doing the important, non-urgent stuff, because that's the stuff that's going to move your business forward. So let's get to habits. Now, habits are one of the things that it's quite a difficult business discussion to have in many times. But so let me tell you how I came across this. And it's one of my coaches, I think his name was Tony Robbins. He's still one of my mentors. And I still listen to a lot of his stuff and read a lot of his stuff. Really cool. If you get a chance to look up Tony Robbins on the web or buy some of his books, fantastic. And what he says, and I'm sure it's him. If it isn't him, it's somebody equally amazing. And what he says was, be careful of your thoughts, because your thoughts become words. Be careful of your words, because your words become actions. And be careful of your actions, because they give you the results you're currently getting. And so if you are in a position that you are if you are in a position where you're not getting great results, then the chances are that the reason for it is because your habits are holding you doing the same things again and again. And then, excuse me while the ambulances exit the premises. Let's let them just go through. Okay, hopefully that person's okay. So if you're feeling your results are stuck, you're not moving forward as fast, you may want to start looking at your habits and your thoughts, your words, your actions, your results. But it's super difficult to do it for yourself, because it's really hard to spot your own habits, right? It's stuff you do naturally. Now, habits are brilliant, aren't they? If we didn't have habits, human life wouldn't achieve the stuff we achieve. We would be stuck, wouldn't we? The stuff we achieve, for example, driving a car. If we had to think about how to brake every time, how many accidents would there be? If we had to think about how to tie shoelaces, how hard would that be? If every time we had to think about it consciously, but we have a habit of just tying. We put one trouser leg in first before another, typically one sock on before another. These are just habits. We brush our teeth in the same way. All that sort of stuff are just habits. Now those are habits that are pretty harmless, in fact very useful. The habits that are not so useful and sometimes quite harmful, certainly to our business, are the habits of thinking and working that hold us doing the same things because they will give us the same result. And sometimes breaking out of that is more difficult than you would think, certainly without help and without accountability and without challenge and without the good stuff that we've been talking about today. So I encourage you to look at that. It is a difficult one, but how you're going to look at that, I don't know, right? Let's try to spot it. Woodrow Wilson said, do everything you can, right? You must use every piece of brain power you have, and then the brain power of other people. Okay, that's, get help, right? There are people there to support you. You're not on your own. You can get help, and you can build a greater successful business and life through your networks. Who's in your network? People you talk to, people who email you, people you see on YouTube, people you meet on the train, maybe bank managers, accountants. These are, like I said, I met a really amazing bank manager the other day from NatWest. He was so cool. He would ask business-like questions rather than bank-like questions. And as a result, any client I get who's looking for loans and stuff, I'm going to be passing to him because I know they're going to get a business discussion out of him rather than, what collateral have you got? No, I'm not going to lend you money. There's going to be a business decision, and that's a cool bank manager to have on your team. So who's in your networks? Does your accountant talk to you about this stuff? Does he challenge you? Does he get into your head and go, look, you can do better than this? Or does he just go, here are your account? What is it that you're getting out of these networks that you've already got? Right? Think about that. And so let's get to the Batmobile. You know what that means. It's time for action. And in your workbooks, you'll see we're going to be talking about visions and goals and stuff. And so the mistake that most people make is that they go, vision or goals. And the reason they feel that way is because they've never consciously, purposefully, powerfully linked their vision to their goals, to their projects, to their actions, to their results. They have never done that. They just go, here's my vision, put it in a drawer. Oh, look, it didn't happen. What a waste, right? So that's the key thing is you need to link them all up. And if they're not linked up, you're wasting your time. It's a waste of effort. It'll have some benefit, at an unconscious level, but we want to have a benefit at a conscious level and a powerful benefit at a conscious level in your bank account. That's what I'm all about, okay? So 3-year vision, and we're going to be talking about this in a minute. We're then going to be going to the 1-year goal. We've already talked about the 1-year goal, haven't we? We're going to break that 1-year goal into a 90-day series of projects, maybe 1, 2, or 3 projects, maybe one set up now, and we can look at the other 2 when you're working on your own or with us. We're going to break things down in milestones. We're not adding to your overwhelm. We're looking at breaking things down into small pieces so that we then go into 1 month. What are we going to do in 1 month? Maybe one project. In that 1 month, there's going to be 4 weeks. What 1, 2, or 3 things are we going to do in those 4 weeks? So we recommend out of those 3 things a week, there's 1 slightly big thing and 2 slightly smaller things that we know we can get done. So we do the big thing first, get that done, and then we do a couple of smaller things to make sure that we can move forward. Okay. So that's the stuff we're doing, and how are we going to put it together? Of course, forgot that, didn't I? 1 day. How are we going to do 1 day? We're going to take the week and we're going to break it down into days. We're going to do one thing for that day. We're going to plan that and then execute it the next day. Okay. So here it is. We've got a 3-year vision, the 1-year goal, the 90-day projects, the 1-month project, the 1 week to do, 3 things max, and today, the 1 thing for today. So I'd like you to start building that. You've already talked about the 1-year goal, so just build your 3-year vision. We've even talked about that. What is that going to be like? What's your business going to look like? Does the 1-year goal go and feed that 3-year vision? Is it in the same direction? If it isn't, then you need to sort of look at one of those 2 things. Correct? Yeah, fair enough. You're then going to be breaking that year goal into 90-day projects, 1, 2, or 3 projects maybe. Then we're going to do a 1 month project. We're going to then break it down into the 1 week to do things with 3 things for the week. So I'm hoping you got, so let's do the project first. Just find one project you can do in the next 90 days. There will be a couple of others you should add into when you're doing this work on your own or with us. But for right now, just pick one project you could do that's going to move your business forward towards your 1 year goal we wrote down. Very good. Okay, well, I'm going to assume you've done that. And we're now going to go into the 1 month project. So in the next month, what part of that 90-day project could you do? Could you get the whole project done realistically? And you know, one of my coaches, I can't remember who it was now, he said to me, Gordon, there's 14 half days in a week, and I'd like you to commit to me 1 half day to work on your business, to do the important, not urgent stuff that's going to move your business forward. Will you do that for me? Otherwise, we're not working together. Yeah, how cool was that, right? And so that's what happened, and the rest is history. So 1 month project. So then what I'd like you to do is, what 3 things could you do in the next 7 days that'll get you closer to that month project? So if you just make a note of 1, 2, or 3 things, you know, like I said, if you can't think of 3, just mention 1, because we're getting started. We're getting some momentum, okay? And if you've only got 1, then that thing is going to be the one thing for today, or if you're watching this late at night, maybe tomorrow. Very good, very good. Okay, so you should now have a nice flowing plan that starts with today stroke tomorrow, for the week, for the month, the 90-day, 1 year, 3. Now, can you see how powerful that is? Just go into the chat box for me and tell me if you can see there is some potential here. We're building nicely now. Just come back to me and tell me, yeah, it's good, or you're a bit confused or whatever. Oh, clear as day. Thank you very much for that. That's a nice comment. I like the 1 thing for 1 day. Yeah, so do I. So do I. I like that too. What if you can do more than 3 things a week? Hey, we got an overperformer there. Very good. Just do more than 3 things, but put down 3 things so you get those 3 things done. When you've done those 3, if you've got more time, add another 1, 2, or 3, or whatever things to get them done. So, but you know, at least put down 3 things so that you know you're going to get 3 things done. Okay, great. So let's move forward. What we're doing here is creating movement. We're creating momentum. Now, I don't know about you, but when in the past, I've been on trekking holidays and stuff, and I've had to walk across, shallow, what appear to be quite slow-flowing rivers. This one isn't, by the way, so I wouldn't try to watch, and it's deep as well. But there are some slow-flowing rivers, streams, that look harmless, but when you start walking through them, you can feel the pressure, and it's never ending. It's just continuous pushing against you, right? And in a wave, if you've ever been in the ocean with even small waves, though, you can feel the power of these things, and it's hard to stand still because there's momentum there, right? There's force behind that. And what I'm looking to do is help you today to create that movement, that momentum that will start the ball rolling, and like a bit like a snowball. It just gathers dimension, gathers force, gathers velocity that will take your business forward. Think steps. This is not overwhelming. Think small steps. Make the small. Most people are just frozen because the thing looks so big, the problem looks so big, they don't do anything. And what this process is all about is thinking small. Okay, small steps. The alternative, of course, is to work by the seat of your pants. Run your business by the seat of your pants. So many businesses do that. And having talked to that bank manager last week, he confirms that it's not only my clients that do that, it's many, many businesses, and they leave so much money untapped because of it. And the problem with leaving, driving the business in your pants, a bit like this. If you're on a train going into this fog, and you have no idea who's setting the links in which direction you're going to be going into, you could hit one of those, couldn't you? And that would be, well, enough said, right? So what we have done is we've distilled all the stuff we're talking about, and we brought it down to what we call our profit plan on the page, and I'm inviting you to have that and use it. It's certainly one we use with all our clients on our profit multiplier program, but it's yours for free. Look, just you have it and use it. If it's used, I get more joy than if it sits on my desk. I want you to get some benefit from it. I want businesses around the world to get benefit from it. Right now, I want you to get benefit from it. Fair enough? So what is this and why is this? And you remember I said simplicity. We talked about those grids, business problems and business skills, technical skills, and we talked about sales, operations, and production. Those are all nice and simple. And when I talk to businesses, what are the three key numbers in your business that helps you decide how to run your business? Overwhelmingly, I get sales, profit, and cash. And when I talked to the bank manager again, he said, actually, I only get two of those normally, and they leave one of those out. So let's take those three, right? Now, what is the problem of running your business on sales, profit, and cash? And the problem is, these are lagging indicators. They're not predictive indicators. They tell you where you've been, not how well you're going to do. And what the landscape looks like, if you're looking at Google Maps and you look from a satellite picture and you can see the whole, half the globe, couldn't you, virtually? Let's say you can see the whole of Europe, right? But that's really not the truth of it, because when you start getting into it, you get mountains and roads and hills and valleys and rivers and tunnels and there's so much more, isn't there? And in the same way, in business, there is so much more under the surface. And the problem is, if you start running a business from a satellite view and you don't get into the more detailed view, you've lacked complete control. Because the stuff that churns out the simplicity is the finer elements. So, for example, one of your things you can control are leads and how well you convert them. You can't control sales. But if you don't control leads and improve your number of leads and improve your conversion, you don't get the number of customers you want. If you don't control the average sale and the number of times they buy from you, you can't control sales. So each of these tiny elements in blue are the things you have to control for you to get the results you want. And the results ultimately is all about you and your wealth. Okay? And so my wish for you is you take this understanding and realize if you're running it on this basis, you are missing a few tricks. And that's what I'd love you to take away from this part of the conversation. So what we've done is design this profit plan on a page, as I said. It's about making profitable decisions faster. Wouldn't you like to know what the effect of a decision is going to be on your profit and loss and balance sheet? Wouldn't you like to know that? Wouldn't you like to predict that? Of course you would. Who wouldn't? But most businesses don't. You know that and I know that, and I don't want you to do that anymore. So what does this profit plan on a page look like? And like I said, it fits on one page, so everyone has time to scan through a one-page piece of paper every day, twice a day, 3 times a day. I look at mine 2 or 3 times a day because it's my mouse mat. And so when I'm using my mouse, I have this piece of paper underneath it, and it's always there in my sight. And of course, in the morning, I'm looking at it. If you look at it, it's got the future, right? And the future has got the vision. So you can open up that page in your workbook, and let's start just quickly populating it with something. Like I said, you can print 10 copies of this. I don't care. In fact, it never will stay the same from one month to another month or another 6 months when you're getting going. When you're getting going, it's changing quite a lot. To be fair, right? The stuff you put in your vision today will probably not be, certainly when we work with clients, it's never the same thing as when we work with clients 6 months later. Right? It's just not the same. Things evolve so quickly as you start the process that your vision and goals change because you realize so much more is possible. Okay, but let's go through the boxes. We've got the vision, so I'd like you to put up, as I'm talking, just start writing the sentence you had before. Remember we talked about vision a little bit earlier on in this presentation. Put down the vision, and let's now put down the goal. You remember we had that goal. Who would you like to meet in 1 year's time? What would they have done? Who they're going to be? Maybe write something down in this box. Right now, don't you put huge amounts of space in this for writing, because normally you'll type it out and then it'll be there. You'll print it out once a month. This document is printed out once a month to give you focus for the month. Then you're going to put down the projects for the month. It may be just one project, and that's absolutely fine. You may want to put a bit more detail on there because there's only one project for the month. If you're doing one of these a quarter, then you'd put 3 projects for the quarter, possibly. It depends on the project and depends on your time and your size of your business and the availability of resources and so on. I'm going to leave the present section for now, and then we'll just look at the past. In the past, we're going to be looking at how you did with your key performance indicators, and then maybe even add in the future predictive indicators. The KP2s are your predictive indicators, right? And these are things that will predict your success in the future rather than measuring what you did in the past. The past will be, what profit did I make with my sales, with my margins? Those are historic. the things that are going to change your sales, change your profits, change your margins, change your balance sheet quality are going to be your predictive indicators, and that's super cool. Those are the most powerful things on this page, because you get those right, and everything else works out beautifully. You hit your projects, you hit your goals, you hit your vision, and superb, beautiful, very fulfilling. And of course, any actions you want to take for the week or the month, key actions, and I'm talking about not actions that go call my client from his email or pay the electricity bill. I'm talking about stuff that's going to move something you really want to remember and focus on for the month, or a week if you want to do it for a week. Now, I said I'll come back to the present one, and the present one means that remember we did that grid where we said, what's your weekly end today, right? And here we use post-it notes. You stick a post-it note over the week, and you stick a post-it note over today. So every day your today one flips off and you click done and you stick it on a board in front of you, and every week you flick off the weekly one and you stick it on a board in front of you, and then at the end of the week you flick through your today's dones and you go, wow, that was a good week, and you feel good, right? It motivates you to get on to the next week. Week isn't finished until you plan the following week, and the month isn't finished until you plan the following month, quarter isn't finished until you plan the following quarter, and the year isn't finished, as we're doing now, until you plan the following year. Whether the year is your company year, your financial personal year, or a calendar year, that makes no difference, right? It's a year is a year. It's a continuing process. And so there you have your week 3 things and your today 1 thing, and then as you flick it off, you stick it on your board, you can see all these things building up of all the things you've done. Just think how good that feels. It's a beautiful feeling, and I love it. So consider using that as your mouse mat, stick it up, use it, please. It's a really powerful document. Costs us many, many thousands of pounds to develop. We were inspired by people like Steve Pipe and other really intelligent people on the world stage who helped us with balanced scorecards and 1-page plans and stuff. And what we've done is taken what are the best elements of all of that, and how can we represent it on one sheet of paper that an owner managed business can use every day. And here's the result, and I think it's a thing of beauty, if I say so myself. So to the Batmobile, you've already been there filling in that profit plan on the page. Fantastic. So let's start looking at your next step. You need to start bringing this all together now, okay? Before I do that, just start looking and thinking if you've got any questions. If you've got any questions, please stick them in the box, and I will look to answer as many as I can within the time I have. Remember what Woodrow Wilson said: use all the brains you've got, and then all the brains you can borrow, buy, tap into, yeah? So please remember that when you start looking at your next steps. So let's reflect now, right? In your workbook, there is a page that says what's slowing you down, in the way, or stopping you. So can you write down for me? Remember we did this earlier on, right? What could, from your goals, we talked about the goals and the to-do lists and the 3-day, 3 for the week, 1 for the day, project for the month, projects for the year, all that sort of stuff. What could slow you down? What could get in your way? And what could stop you? Because our job as owners, leaders, business people, entrepreneurs, is to eliminate those things. If it's finance, eliminate it. If it's team member access, eliminate it. If it's time, improve it. If it's leverage, massively improve it. If it's how you spend your time, improve it. If it's your marketing skills, improve it. If it's your business skills, improve it. If it's your technical skills, improve it. If it's your systems, improve it. What's slowing you down, in your way, or stopping you? What could slow you down? What could get in your way? What could stop you? Just put that in now. Just write that in. Very good. Good. So I'm hoping you're getting a sense that, these are now things you can do, and the quicker you do them, the more accountable you are, the more public you make this declaration. Whether it's to us, you can put it in the box here, you can send us an email just to make that public declaration. We'll keep it safe, we'll keep it private. Whatever it is, how are you going to stay accountable? Who are you going to be accountable to? Who's strong enough in your network? Who do you know that will hold you true to yourself? When we have our mastermind meetings, right? We have permission to hold people true to themselves. That's why it works. You know, and what typically happens is the people who haven't done it before the meeting will do it the night before because they do not want to face their peers as a type of person who does not do what they say they're going to do. That's the accountability power. Somebody's asking, how does the program work? I really don't want to cover that today. This program is all about you and about how we can get your plans moving. If you want to discuss that with me, I'll show you how we can have a quick chat about that to discuss the program. But let's not take everyone else's time, with a pitch on that. If you don't mind, it's only fair to everyone else who's invested time. How much do you charge? Again, I'll deal with all the fees thing another time on another in the right place. We can't even work with everyone. We need to make sure that you are right for us and we're right for you. We need to make sure that you are motivated, you're willing to be accountable, you're in the place that can make the change, you have a business that can afford to have that level of accountability and know-how put into it. Because otherwise it can be a bit of a waste. So we're just really keen on making sure this is not the right forum, if you don't mind. I said I'd answer all your questions and I've already batted back two, right? So best year ever is going to be this coming year, isn't it? Yeah, agree with me, please. If you want this year to be coming up, to be the best year ever, please put a yes in the box. I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about that. I'm getting a few yeses now. Very good, very good. Good, so I'm getting a few yeses. A couple of them not sure how to do it, whether I can do it. Look, there'll be some help available in a minute. If you need it, by all means, tap into it. Like I said, I'm not as successful as Richard Branson. In fact, maybe I should be holding myself to become as successful as Richard Branson, right? But it's not in my goal set. It's not what I want to do. And so that's not what my goal is. But time is ticking now for you. Okay, what is your goal for next year? Make it the best year ever. Time starts now. As we're talking now, just get yourself ready to take action. Okay. Because remember, I promised you at the beginning, the Profit Multiplier Workshop is all about getting you more money, more freedom, and more choice. Hopefully, I've given you the idea and principles and know-how and hopefully even the one action you can start tomorrow that will help you make more money, help you create a bit more freedom, and give you more choice in your life through your business. So there is an offer on our Profit Multiplier Strategy session for investing your time here today. If you'd like to spend between 15 minutes and 60 minutes with me to discuss how, any questions you have on this program, like I said, I wasn't going to answer any questions on the strategy session on this program because it's all about you, then you can give us a call and we will work with you. If you're not a client already, we'll work for a 15-minute initial piece just to make sure we're right for each other. And if we are right for each other, we'll then set a longer 60-minute meeting to go through and tell you how we can help you further, or how you can help yourself further. So either of those are available to you. If you are a client, just book straight onto the 60-minute strategy session, and we'll give you all the pluses that you need to get out of this strategy session and out of this workshop we've just done together. So that's for you. It's free for participating. Like I said, it's all about, the program like this is all about you. It's about you and your business, improving your business. It will improve your clarity. It'll create momentum like we've done today, greater momentum, and we'll keep it there by the accountability program if you choose. We're going to provide you focus. You can focus on one thing, two things to get them done to move your business forward. We're going to add to your network and not retract from it. We're going to give you more to be able to tap into, and we're going to be able to point you to help if you're looking for it and it's not us. So all of that is available to you. You are welcome to it. We have, there'll be resources on YouTube and resources on the web and resources on our blogs and stuff. There's huge amounts of resource we've put together that will help you get to your goals. Okay, and if you use us, great. If you don't use us, fantastic. It's fine, because you're the key to this thing, is moving your business forward. I did promise you the one thing to increase profits from tomorrow. You remember, I have just a bit of time for doing that, and I did promise I was going to do it, and I'm definitely going to do it because I love this piece. It is super simple, but like everything, it's not easy. Now, I'm hoping that having talked to you now for just over an hour, that you are not of the mindset that the first thing that comes out of my mouth, you go, no, that won't work for me. No, that won't, I can't do it in my industry. No, that won't happen. I'm hoping that we've talked about habits. We've talked about the habits of thinking. We've talked about expanding your mindset to embrace the potential of something bigger, asking better questions. And the question I would like you to ask about this next piece is not, can I do it? Should I do it? Why should I do it? Or would it work? The question I'd like you to ask from now on about most things to do with your business and your life is, how can I? How would it work? How can I do this? How can I make it happen? How could it work? How could I change it to make it work? Okay? Because what we found is that of all the stuff we do, 80% is common to all businesses, at least, maybe even 90%, and 10% is unique to a business. And what we then do is we look at that unique business, the uniqueness, and we deliver the 80% or 90% on group and the 10% on a unique one-to-one basis and tweak it, okay? And then we have regular one-to-ones bits. But everything can be done if it's tweaked. So if you hear an idea from someone and it's not in your industry, and people go, well, they're not from my industry, they don't really know. The thing is, it's really important they're not from your industry, in my opinion, right? If you get an expert in your industry who thinks just like you do, who works just like you, who knows everything you know, what's the point of hiring them? There is absolutely no point, is there? Because they're going to come up with the same solutions you are. They're going to come up with the same objections you are. They're going to come up with the same challenges you are. They're going to come up with the same reasons why yes and why no as you are. So what's the point of having them? You might as well do it yourself. The whole idea of having somebody from outside your core skills, talents, knowledge, industry is that a different thinking appears. Let me give you an example. And I'm going to get to this one point. I promise you, I did promise, and I will get to it. FedEx started off, you know how big it is now and how profitable it is now. It started off with the idea from banking. What they found was in banking, the banks would take checks from all around the US and send them to a central hub. They would be cleared in the central hub and then passed back to the relevant banks from the central hub rather than, flying all over the place and crossing over. And that saved the banks millions. Billions now, I suspect. And what FedEx did is we could do the same thing. We could get all our boxes into one central hub, and then from the central hub, go out to where they have to go. And the economies of scale would be massive. And of course it was. Now, yeah, I remember when I was starting work, the best way of sending stuff abroad was to hire a person, give them the envelope, and get them to take it there. Then we got faxes and couriers and FedExes and emails and drop boxes, and now the rest is history. But that's how it started. You've got to think differently, think out of your industry, because some of the biggest gains can come from outside your core knowledge and core talent. So what's this one thing to increase profits from tomorrow? Like I said, take a deep breath. Ready for it? If you're ready for this one thing, just type a yes in the box, would you? I'm getting yes, yes. For goodness sake, yes, tell us. Okay. Somebody goes, now I've got to go. Oh, I'm sorry, but you can get the recording and you can have it later. The one way to increase profits from tomorrow is to increase prices by 2% today. Big relief I might hear, right? Because when I talk to clients about increasing prices by 2%, virtually all, without exception, say, I could probably do that. Nobody really wouldn't even notice. I'm going to do that. And so the 2%, it almost goes under the radar, and it's gone, and it's done, and it's happened. Let's take an example. It's just a simple example to give me the numbers easy to work with. If you had £1 million worth of sales and £100,000 worth of profits, right? 10% profit, not unusual, I promise you. So £1 million worth of sales, £100,000 worth of profits. and you increase your prices by 2% across the board, and you now do £20,000 more sales. And you go, well, 20,000 more sales out of 1,000,000, is that really a big number? On its own, against sales, no, it isn't. But think about it for a moment. What will happen to your margins as a result, right? They go up by £20,000 because nothing in between has changed. You haven't bought anything better to make the products or to sell the product. Your team's still getting paid the same amount. Your overheads are still the same. Your telephone bills, your rent, your rates, your insurances, your whatever, is all the same, right? And so that £20,000 now ends up as net profit. From £100,000, it's now £120,000. That is a 20% increase in profits. I'll say that again, it's a 20% increase in profits for a 2% increase in prices. Now, is that not worth doing today? And when will your profits increase? Tomorrow, okay? So I wasn't kidding. Now, 2% is pretty tiny. How about 5%? When I say when people go, oh, 2% easy, and I go, well, what about 5%? They go, oh, yeah, that could probably work as well, because now they're used to the idea. It's just pushing it a little bit further. You've got momentum, right? You've got momentum in your mindset, momentum in your thinking, momentum in your price elasticity, and you think, yeah, I can do 2%, I can do 5%. And so that now adds 50% to your bottom line on the same numbers we talked about in a minute. Now, that's all well and good, and I recommend that to you from tomorrow. In fact, do it today, and then you have a profit rise tomorrow, okay, as I promised, okay? However, for a project, and it may not be a project for the first month, for the first quarter, or even for the first 6 months, but one of the projects I would recommend, and one of the projects we work with every single year with clients, is we review prices. Because it is one of the fastest, quickest, simplest, loveliest way of increasing profits. We come up with it slightly differently. If we just go, can we increase by 5? The answer is yes, and you do it, and you're done, aren't you? That again. Remember at the beginning, I said spot the difference, right? The difference is not significant, and then it'll have marginal. Even though maybe 20%, it could be much better. How about asking the question? How could I increase prices by 50%? Now, some of you have probably fallen off your chair at this point. I couldn't do that. That's never going to happen. Oh my God, what is this guy on? Right? Okay. When you catch your breath, I'm going to have a quick sip of water. Oh, lovely. When you catch your breath after that challenging question, and you start thinking about the question, how can I increase my prices by 50%? You have to think differently. You cannot think as you're thinking now and get your prices up by 50%. It won't happen. Clients will not accept it. You've got to change what you do. You've got to change how you do it. You've got to change who you do it with. And that is the power of owner-managed businesses. You can do that. In a large corporate, you would have to wait years before you could even think about putting something like that into the thinking pot. Everyone go, you're crazy, because that's not how corporates work. As an owner-managed business, that's exactly how you work. You can work from tomorrow. Now, I said it's a big approach. It's not the low-hanging fruit. It's one that we need to get some early wins. We need to get some momentum. We need to build the muscle to make these things happen, and it takes a bit of time, I'll give you that. But isn't it worthwhile if a 2% can increase it by 20%, if a 5% can increase it by 50%, and these numbers may not be relevant to you, but they always work in that sort of, it's a much bigger profit increase than it is a sales increase, always, for obvious reasons. It's just, that's just maths. When you begin to build that muscle, and then you start putting these questions, these are the powerful questions that make you as a leader a leader. It'll be these questions, these type of challenges that you give yourself that'll build your business that you wouldn't believe would be so good. The freedom you want, the choices you have. And so there could be nothing better to put on your 1-year goal as to look at the question. Now, if you're working with us, we'll go through a process to get there. But if you're not, if you're just doing it, you should just put somewhere, ask myself the question hopefully you've done a few of these projects, and if you fall down on this profit plan on the page, it's because you're lacking the accountability, right? But if you haven't fallen down on the profit plan on the page and you keep it going, put a note in your calendar, put a note in your diary that in 6 months or 9 months or 12 months, ask yourself the question. Because you'll have built enough muscle by then, way enough, especially if you're doing one thing a day, 3 things a week, 3 projects a quarter, and so on. You'll have certainly built enough muscle to ask yourself that question, and you'll begin to see the possibilities that maybe you can't see now because you haven't thought of you haven't stretched your habit thinking in this way before. And you'll ask yourself the question in a year's time because it'll come up in your diary, or if you're working with us, it'll come up as a process. But please put it down. Don't let it go. Don't let it escape the ether right now. Okay? And remember, it's free for participating. The Profit Multiplier Strategy session is yours. If you choose to have it, if you don't, and you've got enough value from today, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. What I'd like you to do just for a moment, as a favor to me, is please just tell me, what do you think, having heard what I've said today? We've spent nearly 90 minutes together. We've got a couple of minutes left before we close. Could you please put in the box, write down on your piece of paper, if you don't want to put it in, commit to me, but put it on a piece of paper, put it in your workbook, put it on your computer, put it somewhere. Given what I've said today, given the things we covered today, given the momentum, given the know-how, given the simplicity of the profit plan on the page, given the detail that we need to get into to control predictive indicators, giving the tracking of performance indicators, giving the know-how of setting great vision, of setting great goals, getting great projects, getting great activity every day that moves your business forward. The idea of changing your thinking process, to change your habits, to change your actions, to change your results. What is the potential to your business over the next 12 months? And if you're willing to, just put a number or a percentage in the box. What could your profits grow by in the next year if you were able to do all the things and keep them going all year? I've got somebody who's saying 70%. I've got somebody who's saying 15%. Fantastic. I've got somebody who's saying 18%. That's very precise numbers here. I've got somebody who's saying 90 to 100%. Yeah, that's cool. Really nicely done. Now, all of these percentages have values attached to them behind the scenes, and they will have a meaning to you, right? Think about what that value is. Is it, is it £2,000? Is it £20,000? Is it £100,000 or more? What is that value? How much does that percentage represent? If you're making £100,000 and you could make 30% more, you're going to make £130,000. So the benefit could be £30,000. So just write down that number. You don't need to send it to me. Just keep it on your piece of paper. And now you have it. You have the value of doing this work. One of the clients I recently talked to, we did some work together, and we worked out that by doing a series of things over it would probably take about 5 or 6 hours, he would be better off by at least £10,000, right? And he goes, well, that's only £10,000. And I said to him, well, hang on, you are earning £50,000 right now, and you're working a whole year quite hard, you tell me. And in fact, some of it is quite stressful. I am saying by doing 5 hours work, you could get a fifth of that profit added to your income. Do you have to think twice about spending that 5 hours to get the extra £10,000? And that sometimes is the thing where you don't have anyone challenging your thinking. You just go, yes, okay, fair enough. Yes, okay, yes, okay, yes, guys, right? Because they want to be nice to you. That's what sometimes can get missed when you leave it to your own thinking, when there's no challenge to your thought process, it's the habitual thought process. Okay, so keep that in mind when you consider what to do next as your next steps. Use your network. So I'm going to leave you now. It's been it's been real fun. Thank you for joining me in the Batmobile. I'm hoping you've done your work in the Batmobile with me. I'm hoping I've done my bit. If I haven't, tell me what I can do better. If I have, I really appreciate you telling others, getting others to book on the course, join me on further workshops, and watch my video blogs. So there's plenty more goodness in there, and you are welcome to it. Money, freedom, and choice. It's all yours. It's there for the taking. I look forward to speaking to you soon. Take care of yourself and all the very best.